frankly, I think we have good reason to believe that there's a bombshell in Donald Trump's taxes.
What do you mean?
Well, I think there's something there. Either he's not anywhere near as wealthy as he says he is, or he hasn't been paying the kind of taxes we would expect him to pay.
The reason he brings it up is that he lost in the last election and lost very badly. I have many, many companies. I have, tremendously, I have a very complex system of taxes. And frankly, I get audited every single year.
Well, that's an interesting exchange, isn't it? First, you have the 2012 GOP nominee Mitt Romney yesterday on Fox News saying that Donald Trump needs to release his taxes because there could be a bombshell there. And then you heard the Donald on CNN saying, wait a minute, this is basically sour grapes from Romney, and he has a complex tax return. So what does this all mean in terms of politics and policy? For more on this story, we're pleased to be joined from Newsmax Washington by White House correspondent for the National Journal, S.V. Date. And likewise, Skyping in from our nation's capital, political reporter for Politico, Cate Martel. Kate, ladies first. As I understand it, there are a whole lot of candidates who have not released their back taxes and their forms. Should everybody just do this at the outset to get it out of the way?
I think it's a very calculated decision whether to release taxes or not. And what I'm seeing from Mitt Romney, on the other hand, is I either see two scenarios. I've heard from people close to him that apparently behind the scenes, Mitt Romney is not happy with the way the race has been going. So I either see him saying, look, I'm not happy with this, and why are the other Republican candidates not going after Donald Trump over what could be such a rich issue? So he's going to take this up. I also see another scenario where at this point they don't want to start throwing fuel to the fire for other Republican candidates. That are we seeing Mitt Romney saying, you know what, I'm going to take over this issue and try to help, as he's now a pretty popular member of the Republican Party.
Yeah, it's very interesting, SV. When we take a look at this, is this the greatest signal that the establishment is ready to strike back against Donald Trump?
I think a bigger, better signal might be if the establishment could come up with 30 or 50 or 70 million dollars in TV ads to take on Donald Trump. I'm not sure how much of a problem not releasing your income taxes is going to be in a Republican primary. I mean, the whole idea, the whole rationale of Donald Trump running is, hey, I'm ridiculously rich, therefore I should be president. So how does this somehow get at him? I guess I'm old enough to remember when Harry Reid was claiming that there's going to be a bombshell with Mitt Romney's tax returns, and maybe he hadn't paid them or something like that.
Yeah, and of course, Harry did that on the floor of the Senate, where the debate and speech clause lets him say anything he wants about anybody. Politics on the floor of the Senate. I'm shocked, I tell you. SV, there's something else we need to cover with you, because you spent a lot of time in Florida, and of course, Marco Rubio was in the State House. There's been all this talk about his own financial challenges. Indeed, Dick Morris has said he thinks they can become a big problem for Rubio. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I think it's been the case for a while, and it wasn't enough to cause enough problems for him in the primaries we've had so far. Or maybe they have. Maybe if he hadn't had those issues, he would have done better. I know that Jeb Bush's super PAC, or the super PAC supporting Jeb Bush, went after him pretty hard about his finances, among a lot of other things. But perhaps those, again, are the sorts of things that could be a bigger problem in a general election. So I don't know. I mean, he's never been that wealthy. He made a lot of money off his book, but that's been about it. And before that, he kind of used that American Express credit card from the party for stuff that, maybe he shouldn't have been using it for.
Yeah, mixing party with personal can be a big problem, although obviously no criminal prosecution. We know there's a difference between what happens in court and what happens in the court of public opinion. Kate, measuring public opinion from Texas, the big state coming up on Super Tuesday, very interesting as it pertains to Ted Cruz. The latest poll from KTVT shows the Texas senator ahead. You'd expect that, but it's very interesting. Some polls have said that Donald Trump is within 1 point, not this poll from KTVT. It has Cruz up by about 8 points, a substantial lead. Do you think Cruz can hang on in his home state? And if he doesn't, does that spell the end for his campaign?
Ted Cruz better hang on if he wants to have a shot at the nomination. If you lose in your own home state, that does not bode well. That's why tonight is such a make or break state for Ted Cruz. He needs to do well, and I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks because of that. But then you look at Donald Trump, who also wants to win Texas, and you know that he's going to throw a lot of attacks out. So if Ted Cruz doesn't come back swinging tonight and end up winning this debate, I think that he could have a lot of trouble.
Well, for you both, in the minute and a half that remains, and SV, we'll start with you. Speaking of Texas being a border state, Jorge Ramos of Fusion sat down with the former Mexican president Vicente Fox. And it's very interesting when Jorge asks former President Fox about a wall on the border, a brutally frank and off-color response. Let's listen to it right now.
I declare, I'm not going to pay for that wall. He should pay for it. He's got the money.
Are you afraid that he's going to be the next president of the United States? What would that mean? What would that mean for Mexico?
No, no, no. Democracy cannot take us to crazy people that doesn't know what's going on in the world today.
Well, I got to ask you, SV, is that the boost Donald Trump needs to win Texas? 15 seconds.
It may be. I mean, you know, this is the Republican electorate in Texas now. This is not the general election electorate. So this may be the in-kind contribution he needed to win.
Well, we thank you for your response, SV. And Kate, good to have you along as well. We look forward to having you both back in the not-too-distant future. Speaking of the Republican campaign for president, there's a debate tonight. Hope you'll be with us at 11 o'clock Eastern for our post-debate coverage. Our special guest, Governor Mike Huckabee, will be with us to offer his insights. That's at 11 Eastern.